All right, students, we're back. This is our first official lesson. Now, before we can really learn how to throw our punches, slip punches, switch our stance and move, and all that really cool stuff, the first thing we gotta do is we gotta learn how to stand. How do we stand as a boxer? It's gonna be very, very similar to our fighting stance in jiu-jitsu, but we're gonna make a few small changes and really illustrate some very important details. So the first thing I'm gonna have you do is I want you to just stand tall and stand comfortably. Now, when I'm normally standing, my feet end up just below my shoulders. Let's think a lot about jiu-jitsu right now and think about what shape we wanna be when we're inside the guard. So what shape is that? Well, if you said pyramid, you're right. So when we take that pyramid shape, when we're inside the guard and on our knees, we get really, really stable and it's really hard to get knocked over. And so when I'm standing in my boxing stance, I also want to have a pyramid shape. It's not going to be as wide as the pyramid shape in jiu-jitsu because I need to be able to move around a little bit more, but I want to make sure that I don't get knocked over too easily. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to widen my feet just a little bit so that I can move myself side to side and maintain my balance. So one of the most important things in all martial arts, as you know from jiu-jitsu, is balance. And boxing, it's super important to be balanced at all times. Now, I have to make a decision. Coach Jackson, myself, I'm right-handed. So I like to stand in what's called an orthodox stance. All that means is your left side is your front side and your right side is your rear side. Now, some people are special and they have like a dominant hand on their left side, and so they're gonna be what's called a southpaw boxer, where their right side is in front and their left side is in back. If you're not sure which stance is for you, I'm gonna recommend that you're gonna stand orthodox. If you're pretty clever and you feel like you can work around understanding the difference between lead and rear and right and left, you don't get confused by that too easily, go ahead and try southpaw. It's going to be really challenging because only like 1 out of 10 people is special like that. But if you're clever, I am very confident you'll be able to figure it out, okay? So for our boxing lessons, we're going to use the terms lead and rear. We're not really going to say left and right too much. So if you're an orthodox fighter, your lead side is your left side and your rear side is your right side. That's really easy to remember because lead and left start with the same letter and rear and right start with the same letter. But if you're southpaw, everything's switched. So it's going to be a little tricky. It's kind of like trying to cut your hair in the mirror, right? Everything's all backwards. So you're going to have to think really hard. Now I'm orthodox, which means my lead side is my left side. That means I'm going to take my right foot and I'm going to slide it backwards. So I not only have a triangle from side to side, but I also have a triangle from front to back. So if something touches me or pushes me from any direction, I'm going to be able to be balanced. Now, think about when we're jumping rope or we're running. Do we jump rope and run on our heels? Obviously not. That's pretty silly, right? We want to keep the weight on the front of our feet. So just like if you were to bounce up and down like this, we're going to keep the weight forward and keep our legs bent. So we want to be nice and springy. So lead foot's in front, rear foot's in back. I have a triangle from side to side, and I have a triangle from front to back. Now I'm ready to put my hands in position. Our chin is the most important part of our head when we're boxing. So we want to hide that. Think of your chin as like the goal, and your hands and shoulders are like the goalies. So I'm going to protect my chin with my hands and my shoulders. So rule number 1 of your stance. Your shoulders are going to be above the bottom of your chin. Okay, so watch this. If my chin is above my shoulders, that's no good. But if I can bring my chin down and bring my shoulder up, now I'm really safe. I can protect my chin in case my hands are far away, in case I'm punching. So rule number 1, chin down, shoulders up. Rule number 2, my hands are going to stay above my shoulders. So my shoulders are up, my hands are higher, and my chin is down. So it's really difficult to get through here, right? I got all my defensive players ready to go and protect myself. lead foot, rear foot, 2 triangles, hands up, chin down, shoulders up, weight on the front of your feet. That's our stance. Awesome? All right, now when we move, all we're gonna do is just take our stance with us. So think about our side shuffle in jiu-jitsu class. We never cross our feet, and we never have our feet touch. In boxing, it's really important to be always thinking about what our feet are doing. So when I move in any direction, I want to make sure that my stance gets bigger and then goes back to normal. So what I mean by that, I want you to look at my feet. If I'm going to move forward, I move forward with my lead foot and bring my rear foot in. But if I move backwards, I don't bring my lead foot in. Now I'm standing on like a little flagpole, right? It's very difficult to balance. I move my rear foot first and then my lead. So I move forward and back, forward and back. Side to side is the same thing. If I want to move to my left side, I move my left foot first. If I want to move to my right side, I move my right foot first. Perfect. So I'm in my stance, able to move. Now the last movement that's really important is our pivot step. I'm going to take my foot, I'm going to step in any direction, but I'm going to point my toes in the direction that I want to end up. So I want to be facing this direction when I'm done. So I take my foot, I step and point my toes in that direction, and then return to my stance. Again, I step and turn, now I'm going to face the ring, and I pivot like that. And there you go. So that's the basics of stance. Everything we do in boxing works off of a really good stance. Just like everything we do in jiu-jitsu works off a good pyramid shape or a good understanding of our guard. All right? So we're going to practice this through a series of drills, and we'll see you next time with the next lesson.